Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Pen Connect. Pen Connect is Penmancy's unique venture where we try to bring authors closer to their readers. Today, we have with us celebrated author Karan Bhatia, and we will be talking about his newly published book, The Unburn Desire, published by Loxley Hall Publishing. Welcome to Penmancy and to Pen Connect, Karan. It is such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Monica. Likewise.
I see some. I will wait for people to join in, and I will. In the meantime, I will just introduce you to our viewers. Read out your introduction, and then we will jump into the session. All right. Karan Bhatia is a senior HR professional and an avid writing enthusiast. By day, he is into people partner role, but by night, he transforms into a creative writer, poet, and blogger. With a certification in creative writing from the prestigious British Council, he has honed his writing skills to produce compelling content that captures the imagination of his readers. Author of I Was in Love, I Am in Love, he also shares his poetry with audiences as a member of a distinguished club. When he is not working, Karan can be found writing for his weekly blog, The Unlensing, which has gained a following of over 3,000 organic readers across India. Through his blog, he shares his perspectives on topics ranging from mental wellness, life hacks, productivity, and all his writings can be found at this website. I will just highlight it over here. You can find all his writing over karanbhatia.substack.com. All right, I see people have started joining in. Hello, Natasha. Hi, Deepa. We will still wait for people to join in, Karan, and we will go on to talking about your book. But first, I just want to tell you that when I finished reading your book, I went on to check your blog, and I found the content really, really relatable and engaging. And one aspect that I really found, very interesting is the handle of your blog, The Unlensing, and the title of your book, The Unburn Desire. So tell me a little bit about, these two titles, The Unlensing and The Unburn Desire.
That's an interesting one, Monica, and definitely both have a very deep connection with each other. So I wrote the book before I began the blog, and I wrote the book back in 2020 when
Right,
COVID was at its peak. Now, the unburned desire is simply, if you look at the word unburn simply means burning in reverse. So there's
right,
somebody who's very passionate about what he does. Somehow those goals are charred to ashes, but then you still have an indomitable spirit that you can turn things around. You can reverse an irreversible process. That is exactly what the main protagonist in my book does, and hence the title, The Unburned Desire.
right,
And now,
right,
yeah, and now talking about my blog's name, the handle, which is The Unlensing. So, again, a very interesting anecdote to this is, so we all have a certain perspective about things. Those can also get marred by whatever is happening around us. So our point of view can be biased at times, and it can be cluttered. So we have already a lens which we have on our eyes. How do
right.
we get the clear concept about something? So that is why it is titled The Unlensing, because with my articles, with my content, I want to give viewers that clear perspective on things. Through my learnings, through my knowledge, I want to cascade that to my viewers.
Right. So in a way, it is like breaking your own biases because we have a certain perspective about life, about things, and that's what unlensing is all about to kind of come out of that preconceived notions and preconceived ideas. That's interesting, very interesting. And your recent blog, I actually read that blog about parenting and having kids. Very, very nice, very nice.
Thank you, Monica.
All right. So for those of you who have not read Karan's book, I will just give out a brief summary of the book and hopefully it will encourage you to read the book, to pick up the book. So, The Unborn Desire is a contemporary fiction novel with the main theme revolving around the concept of life after death. Roy, our protagonist, has had a very rocky relationship with his family since the very beginning. And it is only now when he is an adult and he has returned home after a significant period of time that he is coming to realize that, probably he might have been mistaken about certain things. And overall, it is a journey of self awareness, of love, of trust, and what it takes to be human. So I really hope that you pick up this book and you read it. Karan, I really want to tell you this. So I am a reader that goes into a book, very blind. I don't know what the blurb says. I don't know what the synopsis says. So when I read your book, I had no idea that it was about life after death and, karma or afterlife. I was so pleasantly surprised by the premise because it just took me to a completely different world, and I was not expecting that. That was really, really refreshing and such a unique take. How did you come to this, this premise?
Thank you for the question, Monica. So, see, as a writer, my intent has always been to educate my readers, my audience, on new concepts. And again, my blog has the same objective. Now, if you talk about death as a concept, it has a very negative connotation to it. However, it is
Right.
as pure a reality as is life. Yet we do not embrace it fully. So, through my writings, I wanted to clear the air on this. Second, I recall I was at a funeral a few years back, and there was a message inscribed on one of the walls which said, "Death is not the end; it is just the beginning, and soul is there for eternity. Your date of death is determined even before your date of birth." So that was quite profound, and it still stays with me till date. Then I came across this book called Journey of Souls by Dr. Michael Newton, which had a very scientific take on the concept of life after death, karma, and journey of souls. So from that book, I realized how does our past karma can trickle down into our present and the future lives. So it has a complete bearing on our present and future lives. All of those are interconnected. And this was a very fresh scientific take because in movies, etc., it's pretty dramatized.
Right,
So
right.
that's how the idea of the Unburn Desire was born, because I wanted to bring this truth to my readers, to my audience, and what better way to bring it to them than by writing a good enough book called The Unburned Desire. So that's how it was born.
That's amazing, because like you said, movies may it is a little bit, dramatized and very unrealistic. And this is something that I really wanted to talk to you about. Is when you wrote this book, people have these, like we discussed, preconceived notions about life and death and afterlife. So when you started writing this book, was there, kind of an inhibition about delving into this topic, that, certain readers might not relate to it, or, how will it be received? All of those questions.
So when I start writing, Monica, and I'll be doing disservice to my readers if I think from their perspective and I write on things which they want to read. Rather, I keep the priority as something which I want to write, I want to bring to the readers, and that's a very organic flow. So
Right.
when I decide to write on something, I do my thorough research, I do my thorough understanding of the subject, and that's why I bring a certain topic. Now, readers might want to, read about romantic fictions, but that is not something which I generally write now. And if
Right.
you look at some of the mythology books coming for the last 4 or 5 years, you will realize how the readership has changed over years. People were pretty immature readers initially, then they went to classics, and now mythology is hitting chartbusters every now and then. So people do develop, good reading habits once you give them good enough content, and this is something which I personally believe that people will definitely be able to relate to.
Right. That is amazing. That is true. That is true. If we consistently produce good content, then, people will come to it, people will read it. And I ask this question because, I've heard this a lot of times as a writer myself, in the publishing industry. Write what the readers want to read. So there's this mismatch between what the writer is writing and the reader is reading. But I totally agree with you. As writers, we should always be focusing on, what we want to give out to the world. And if it is interesting enough, it is engaging enough and relevant enough, then the readers will come. Definitely. Right. So, okay, I want to ask you about your characters. Let's move on to your characters. There are a lot of different characters in your book. We have Roy, we have his father, his whole family, Allison. her mother. We have all of these different characters going. And what I really liked is that these are like average individuals, जैसे हम बोलते हैं आम आदमी, and they do not have like extraordinary powers. They are not fated to deal with extraordinary circumstances like that. And I really enjoyed reading that aspect because your book talks about all of these relationships. But by far, the most intriguing character for me was not the protagonist. It was protagonist's father, Aaron, because I am a defense kid, and my father worked in the naval services, and I've had that kind of a relationship with my father. It's not really gelling well with my father and everything. So I want to know more about Aryan. How did you come to this arc of Aryan? Why the setting of the Kargil war, and all of that aspect happening in this book? How did you come to that?
So, the step one before I created this entire story, Monica, was creating and fleshing out all the characters. So, Aryan, Roy, Joy, Anna, and Allison. You won't believe I created a detailed Excel to flesh out all these characters. How will they look like? How will their personalities be? What is the conflict in their lives, etc. So, when I was writing about Aryan, I wanted to show something that he has a very, poor relationship with his son. and and when you talk about a poor relationship, you need to show some context to it, some history to it.
Right,
So
right,
that is how Aryan's character became much more deeper. Plus, personally as well, I have a lot of interest in the Kargil war and the defense and the army life. So I thought, why not to flesh out his life as a complete soldier? And I think those days I had seen this movie Kargil war. So I thought, let's bring that element also in this character. And Kargil war, I think most of us 90s kids were pretty privy to it. We all know what happened in
yes,
that war and how India
yes,
became victorious in the end and how difficult it was. So when I wrote Aryan's character, I tried to bring all of those elements gradually. And the important part was how Aryan wanted to raise both his sons as a thoroughbred horses. But eventually, when he was at the war, he realized that I have lost my elder son, but I do not want to make the same mistake with fathering my younger son. So I want to go
right,
back and be the father that my father couldn't be for me. So all of those
right.
intricacies I had to flesh out in my characters, and that's Aryan Subba in front of you then.
It was a really really deep character, like you said. There were so many layers to Aryan, and through all of those letters and all of those stories, it just gradually reveals itself. And I really resonated with his character because Roy's relationship with his father is something that I craved for with my father. And I think it's very common for defense kids to have that kind of absent father because they're never there, like they are always somewhere else. And to crave for that was really really well done, absolutely well done.
And another, hidden message behind this is that not all your kids will be the same. So, how,
Right,
as a parent, and how, as a good parent, you need to be understanding enough with all your kids. Not everybody will be a champion like Joy. People have different innate abilities. So, as a parent, you need to hone those skills, you need to refine those skills, and encourage your children, be it whatever field they want to excel, let them excel. Let them go ahead with that.
right, right, right. So I'm going to quote from your book. There's a line where you say that there are a lot of broken relations on earth, and your work, like Roy's work, would act as a healer for those people. And while we are talking about these kind of relationships, did you intend this book to be that sort of a healer for other people out there, the people who will read your book? Did you intend this book to be that?
Absolutely. So if you also, and I'll link this with one of the important takeaways for any reader from this book is love your parents, because Roy loathed his father all his life, and by the time reality struck him, it was pretty late. His father had gone, and now he wanted to pen down his memoir so that once he goes up, once he meets his father's soul, he can be at peace with his father's soul eventually. So that's the important thing of the realization. Now today we see so many nuclear families, and kids prefer to leave their parents and stay in a different city because of their career, their ambitions. There's no harm in doing that. but eventually need to understand it's a very selfish behavior. Till 18, 20, they've been through all thick and thins with you. Now when you're grown up enough, you want to go to a different city, different state, and just for your ambitions you leave them behind. So this story will resonate with all those people who have been missing their parents and who would want their parents to be with them throughout their lives, who love their parents. So that is again a very hidden message which any reader can easily derive from this story.
Right, and it is very out there, because I really felt that, that is one message that kind of highlights the relationships within the book, and makes these people very very real, because these are the problems that we face in our lives. These are the problems that, बच्चे घर से बाहर हैं, and they've not come to see their family for years on end, and mothers and fathers are telling them आ जाओ, आप घर पे आ जाओ करके, and these are very very real problems, and this is where your book really shines, that it showcases those kind of relationships and the importance that those relationships hold in our lives. Absolutely. All right. So I want to, let's just move on to, the crux of your story, the concept of afterlife. You have delved into this concept in the book, and you have explored this life after death and spirituality. I want to know, what is your viewpoint on afterlife, and how did you arrive at this entire world in the book? Because that world that you have shown is so surreal. Like, I could easily imagine, that is a journey of a soul, and you have shown that. So, how did this happen, and what is your thought process behind it?
So, Monica, it's going to be a longish answer, so I hope you are prepared for it.
Prepared, yes.
Okay, okay. So, my answer to this would be a very logical and rational one based on scientific research, and it is going to be religion agnostic, right? Now, a very simple concept. What are we all made up of? We are made of souls. Now, what is a soul? Soul is nothing but a small fragment of a giant, massive ball of positive energy, which you and I better know as God, right? Or the
Right,
master
right.
of the universe.
Hmm.
Now, what happens is once the soul detaches from this massive ball of energy, the cycle of the journey of soul starts. The soul will then get into a physical body, it will lead its life, it will die. The soul being a new one, it then goes back to its spiritual journey. Now, that is when the exact journey starts. When the soul goes up, it is a new soul, and for any new soul, death is an absolute shock. So, for
Right,
that particular reason, what the supreme entity has done is once the soul goes up, it is greeted by its near and dear ones, its friends and family members, souls of its friends and near and dear ones, so that the soul can become more acclimatized to the spiritual world. Once this starts, the soul also then meets its guide or mentor. This guide or mentor will be somebody who will help the soul navigate through the entire journey of souls. As
right,
a next step, the soul undergoes a process called shower of healing, which is nothing
right,
but how do we segregate the soul from its past life so that it can now proceed to its future life, right? Ignore whatever happened in the past. You are there for a reason. You're there to mature yourself as a soul, and how do you proceed from there? That is the purpose of shower of healing.
right,
Next step is orientation, in which the soul is meeting its guide again, and the guide tells the soul about the good deeds, the bad deeds, the good and bad karma, what you could have done better, what you've already done well, etc., etc. Then the
right.
soul goes and meets a group called cluster group, which is about 15, 20 souls who are at the same maturity and learning level as that particular soul. So God kind of creates these groups so that the learning progression of all these souls is pretty much similar, because their maturity is the same, their learning progression is the same. That's why they are placed together in one group. As a next step, these souls together go to a place called temple school, in which they are given certain books in which they can go through and read whatever good they have done, whatever bad they have done, the good, the bad, all the karma they can see in that book, vis-a-vis what they could have done better
Right,
in their past lives. Post that, they go to the final place, which is called the life selection place. Now, in this particular place, the soul is able to see what is the life that I've opted for myself, what is the life that I've chosen for myself for my reincarnation. Now, this is going to be a life which might be luxurious one, might be full of hardships, might be full of struggles, but that is going to be the most ideal life because it will bring you more closer to your karma and it will help you mature as a soul.
Right.
Once the life is chosen, the soul is then placed in the womb of a mother, and again, the new birth starts, reincarnation has taken place. Finally,
Right.
after all of these cycles, once the soul, becomes a very mature soul, which we better know as sages,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
It finally goes and mixes up with that giant ball of massive energy. So
Right.
that's the complete journey of souls.
This is, I don't know. I just felt like I was transported to this other world as you were explaining, because on one hand it is very very intriguing and very mysterious and everything. On the other hand, it just kind of fills you with this purpose and this peace, that knowing that everything is going to be okay in the end, and it is all predestined. And you have this guide, like you said, it is there. I know that death is going to be a real shocker, and for the soul to just carry on to the next reincarnation, that guide is going to be there. So this is one thing that kind of permeates me as I read your book and as I listen to you right now, is it's going to be okay. Like, there's no fear to be had in, like, okay, death, or what is going to happen, how am I going to die, and all of those things. It's fine. It's all predestined. And like you said, the date of our death is already stated even before we are born. So yeah, that is very, very profound. And I know it seems to the viewers, it might seem a little heavy, but the way that Karan has explored this topic and has shown this world, it is going to be very engaging and weirdly peaceful. I don't know why I keep coming back to that. It is going to be very, very, kind of peaceful when you read it. It's not going to be that heavy. So yeah, please pick up the book and read. We have a couple of comments. People are saying hi to you, Karan. Rasika is here. Sohail is here, and Priya is here. Priya says this is a topic that is so abstract and so intriguing. Yes, very very abstract and intriguing. Definitely. Please pick up this book. It's going to blow your minds. All
So
right.
glad to see my fellow authors. Rasika, hi. Hi, Suhail. Hi, Priya.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just trying to take all of it in. Okay. Now, I want to ask, there is this concept that you delve into the book about, a good death and a bad death. And that really intrigued me because, like how Allison and Roy, the two protagonists in your book, they are very confused about, people who do good, they don't deserve that kind of a horrific accidental death or whatever. So you delved into it, but not really that much. So I just want to know, like, what is this, like, good death and bad death? Is it related to your karma in the past life, or is that how you wanted to show it in the book?
Yeah. So good death and bad death is again related to your karma. So Monica, like I said, now what is karma? Karma is not something which is a punitive action or something rewarding for you. It is simply a consequence of your actions. Now,
Right.
good death and bad death is again something which, if you recollect my previous answer, the soul will be aware of this is the kind of life I've chosen for myself, and this is the kind of death I've chosen for myself. So
Okay.
good death and bad death is more for us as a human being, as an individual to know. But if you want to know the more detailed, nuanced answer of it, it is simply good death is something which is happening when you have led a fulfilled life. You have your near and dear ones with you. It is devoid of any pain, any suffering. So
Right.
you would have seen certain people, leaving this earth very very peacefully with a smile on their face. That is something which you can call as a good death.
Right.
Now, bad death is something in which you feel like you are stuck on this earth, or there's plenty of endless pain and sufferings, like Allison's mother. She was stuck on
Right.
this earth. Even though she was enduring a lot of pain and sufferings, she was not able to exit from this world. And any death associated with, a hospital or a hospital bed in which you're stuck for many days, many months, many years, that is what can be characterized as a bad death.
Right. Right.
So again, it has a
And
direct link with our karma.
right. And this you have tried to, explore with Allison's mother and the patient that is there, the patient who is asking for euthanasia but is not given because of certain reasons.
Yeah.
It is, I don't know, euthanasia is such a complex subject, right? Sometimes I feel that, it should be allowed because a person should be able to choose the time that, they want to go, the manner in which they want to go. And yet, there is so much of red tape around euthanasia. What would you say, like, you have explored Kathy's character in this, and how would you say that, euthanasia is, I know I'm just, going tangentially from the discussion, but this is something that I feel very strongly about. And I feel that it should be allowed, euthanasia, but it's not. Do you have any views on that?
Yeah, I think looking at Kathy's character, which is again, inspired from a real life character, which I've studied about in the past. Um, Ultimately, once you are in a situation in which there's endless pain and suffering, and you want to evict yourself from the world, you have you need to have complete authority and control over your life, and it should be given to you. However, when you talk about the red tape thing, it is simply because some people may not be sane and mature enough to take that
Mm.
decision, take that call.
Right,
So
right,
just to
right,
cover up those cases, there's some sort of bureaucracy coming into picture. But with somebody as mature as Kathy in the book, I think this is something which the individual has to choose for himself, and they should be given full authority and full right to do that. So yes,
right.
I'm in favor of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, Priya is saying the same thing. She's saying, unfortunately, euthanasia can be exploited if legalized. So, yes, that is
Correct.
there. Yeah, that is there. All right, Karan, you can probably see, like, how this how has affected me. But okay, moving on to this one line in your book, which really had a very strong impact on me. In the book, you are, somebody is saying to Roy, I will not reveal much, but they are saying to Roy that Almighty has gifted you with a precious talent, and what did you do with it? And this line just kind of shook me because, as writers, as creators, we are consistently plagued by this question. We are born with a set of skills, we are born with a set of talents that other people might not have, and, what do we do with it? So is this book an exploration of this question for you? Is this an exploration of the same question for you? Do you get plagued by this question? Ki, okay, I have this talent, and, what am I doing with it?
No, 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 absolutely right, Monica. And so to some extent, and I'm still, exploring my INET abilities, but to some extent, I think I've leveraged my writing skills. I've been writing since the age of 10, and right now I'm 35. So I've stuck to writing, and in fact, writing hasn't left me. And this is the second book which I've released. Barring that, I've written n number of poems. I have my blog. So my only intent of showing this thing in the book is all of us are completely maddened by the rat race in which we are all a part of right now. And we have been continuously suppressing our talent, our abilities because of the uh, external pressures which we have, and to lead a life in a certain templated way. And I'm completely against it. So, to break that monotony, I wanted to spread this message through my book. Now, again, coming back to the concept of soul, your soul inside knows all the answers, and that is the exact reason why they say self introspect, try and meditate, because when you meditate you get connected to your soul, your inner self, and that is when you get all the life's true answers for yourself. Nobody will
Right.
come and give you the right answer. You have to explore it within yourself. It's all within there. We just need to calm our mind and start talking to our inner selves, which is not happening. And because of that, we are all a part of a rat race, and we are not able to contribute as much as we would like to, or something which we can do actually. Again,
Right.
because we are suppressed by so many external pressures mounting upon us every single day. So, just break free from those, barriers, and prove your mettle to the world. For that, you need to start introspecting and start talking to yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely agree with this. Until and unless we identify what is it that we want to do, then all of these external factors are always going to be there. They are not going anywhere. They're always going to be there, and we have to identify what we want to do and how we can utilize whatever gifts we have been given, because it is a gift, it is a blessing, and we have to identify it as such to take it forward. And this line just it kind of asked me through the book. Through the book it is asking me, Monica, what have you done with your talent? What are you doing with it? And I was really shook with it. Thank you for including it in the book, because it is a wake up call to every creator out there. Whoever reads your book, it is a wake up call which we need. We definitely need it.
And it may not be commercially viable. So somebody is into clay painting, somebody is into uh, 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 conducting good events, and people just shrug it off. ठीक है, ये तो मैं कर लेता हूँ. But this is something which brings you closer to what makes you happy at the end of the day. Writing is the
Right.
ultimate salvation for me. It can be something else for you, it can be something else for somebody else. You just need to figure it out.
Right, right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Breaking free, letting go. Yes, definitely. Very pertinent. Very pertinent. So, guys, if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comment section, and I will ask those questions to Karan. Okay, Priya has a question. Let me just highlight it. Does law of karma apply to this? Priya, can you just elaborate on what you want to ask? So I think you asked it during a discussion, and we were so engrossed in the discussion that we did not realize कि आप किसके बारे में पूछ रहे हैं. So can you please elaborate on this question? All right. So Karan, let's move to your characters. I want to know, why did you not give me a closure for Allison and Aarti? I have a closure for Roy, but I really wanted to know more about Aarti. She has suffered so much. And Allison also, like, there is a certain kind of closure from Allison, but Aarti, is that intentional? Why did you do that to me?
So that's a pertinent question, Monica. So talking about Alison first, yes, like you rightly said, she has got her closure because the main objective for which she traveled to Bangalore, that was achieved towards the end for her mother and for Roy both. Now coming to Aarti and Aarti's character. So honestly, I haven't really thought about that particular character because the focus was more on Aryan and Roy
Right,
from the
right,
outset, and the story was kind of linking to these two characters from start till the end. I
right,
could have
right.
fleshed out Arti's character more, and you actually got me thinking. But right now, I don't have any concrete answer for
That
that.
is
Maybe
reader feedback 101 from a very, very passionate reader. I really wanted to know so much more about Aarti and what happens to her later on. I was so invested in her character because to have gone through everything that she has gone through. Oh my God! I want like please include like a happy closure for her.
you might have unintentionally given me cues for the part two.
Yay! I will love to read that. I will love to read that. All right. See, this is the importance of honest reader feedback, guys. So take a note of that. All right. Okay. So tell me, what is the most challenging aspect? What has been the most challenging aspect of having written this book, and the most rewarding aspect of writing this book?
So there was no challenge as such, but of course, I came across plenty of hardships because I had to do a lot of research at every point of time, starting from the Kargil War to fleshing out the characters to the entire journey of souls. So I had to read that book at least twice and thrice to understand all the concepts in detail, because my intent was not to just give a fiction story, but have some logic and rationale behind whatever I'm trying to convey to the audience, because they will not buy if you don't have backed it up with research and data and all of those logic and rationales. So there was
Right.
no challenge, but hardships. And every night I would sit down with my wife. She would continue to read my drafts, and then she would point out, that this flow is, pretty incoherent. You need to just rectify this, rectify that. And I would go back berserk on her, that you're not supportive enough. Come on, what are you saying? I've written it wonderfully well. Why do you keep criticizing and all of that stuff?
Right.
And the, I think, positive part was when I was able to get a closure on this book, and the last couple of pages were extremely important because I did not know how to bring this to a closure. So many characters, so much is happening, and all of them are intertwined in a very unique way. So how do you put across an ending which shows a closure for all of those characters, all of those key central characters, and it also makes logic for the reader towards the end, that they would feel that yes, I have taken something tangible away from this book. So that was the
Right.
most challenging part and the most rewarding part as well. When I did that closure, when I read the last two paragraphs, I was like, wow, I have done it.
Was your wife supportive of the ending?
She was a bit confused initially, but I convinced her.
Browbeating your spouse into convincing yes. That's amazing. That's amazing. And yes, conclusion really, because there are so many characters in the book, you have to bring all of them to a sort of closure in the end. And I really loved the climax and the resolution that happens in the end. I loved it. But one character, you cheated me of that one character, and I want a sequel now. You need to write a sequel for that one character.
I'll think about it, Monica.
Thank you. All right. So,
Yeah.
how long was this journey from writing the book to publishing? How long did it take? The entire process.
So I had finished this book in a span of 4 to 5 months, and this was in peak COVID, which is about the first half of 2020, after say
Right.
February or March. And I then started reaching out to plenty of publishers and lit agents. Again, the market was shut down. Of course, people were not supposed to even open a market, so leave alone somebody looking for new scripts and new books. It was a very
Right.
challenging time. So
Mm.
2021 is when I met Sohail Mathur, the book bakers, who is my current literary agent. And the best part and the positive part about Suhail was that from the outset he had conveyed to me that we will definitely land you up with a good deal, in fact multiple good deals. You just need to be patient because the markets are shut down right now, but we will definitely stay connected and this will sail through. And based on my past experiences, I was again feeling very jittery as to what's going to happen, but I stay put and I remained patient all this while. Then one fine day, about 1.5 years later, September October 2022, I still remember Suhail sent me a voice note, which is his signature style. He sends voice notes, you know Karan, congratulations, we've landed a deal with the 3 4 publishers. They've loved your script, they want to work with you, blah blah blah. And I was on cloud nine. I was like, wow, finally, this is the closure I was looking for. And yeah, so I think owing to Sohail Mathur's constant efforts, I was able to land a good deal. In fact, plenty of good deals. I then had to choose one. But you need somebody who is invested in your book, who's invested in your work, and who has shown a lot of trust and faith in what you have written. Because people
Right.
have a habit of leaving you stranded, but this guy
Mm.
was there from start till the end with me. In fact, even till date, post my book launch, we are still connected, and he keeps giving me a lot of ideas on what we can do next, etc. So that is the kind of people you need in your life to succeed, and I owe it to Suhail Mathur and the book bakers completely.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is something that, a lot of writers in my community as well, they say that he is invested in the projects, unlike some other people in the industry. And that is what, gives the drive to the author. Okay, they are interested in the project, they are invested in it. So, let's do another one. Let's do another one. That's very, very important. Yes.
Yeah.
So congratulations on successfully publishing this book, and I loved reading it. Before we wrap up, I want to ask you: is there something that you would like to tell our viewers? Anything, because our viewers are also writers and readers in their own stream, and we are all learning here. So do you have any kind of tips, or would you want to talk a little bit more about, karma or afterlife or spirituality, anything? Would you like to say something?
So just to understand your question better, Monica, is it about prospective writers, or is it about takeaways from my book?
Take away from your books. Let's do that. Take away from
Okay.
your book.
Okay. So plenty of learnings from the overall writing process, but as a reader, there would be, I think, three key takeaways for any reader. First would be that your time on this earth is limited, so make the most of it. Now, might sound like a broken record in rhetoric, but that is exactly true, because Roy had this innate ability of writing, but he kept suppressing it owing to external pressures. By the time he realized it, when he realized what his true calling is, and that is writing, his time was up. So he was pretty guilty, and he lambasted his guide. When he went up, what's happening? Why have you called me when I just realized my inner calling? So that is one. Second is love your parents no matter what, because Roy lost his father all his life. By the time he realized and got to know the reality, his time was up. So yeah, your parents are going to support you through thick and thins. Always love them. And third is never stop trying, never give up. Like I told you in the beginning, Monica, the unburned desire is also linked to this key takeaway. Unburned simply means burning in reverse. How can you reverse an irreversible process? That is exactly what Roy does. So never ever stop trying. Keep
Right.
hustling. Keep going.
Right. And that's the gist of it. Keep hustling, keep going, no matter what. There is a time for you, and it will come only if you keep at it. Only if you keep at it. Absolutely. All right, Karan, this has been so insightful and so amazing. Like, I am going away from the session with so much to think about, and I'm going to go back to your book and go through all those interesting passages where you have described the journey of the soul. And I really loved it. You can show the book to our viewers now, and I urge all of you guys, please buy this book, read this book. It is fantastic, and it presents something very new that you might not have read in the Indian literary space, especially because I was really blown away with the premise. It's very interesting. Pick up this book and read it, and let Karan know what you feel about his book. Definitely add a review to Amazon. Do not forget, if you have read the book, add a review to the Amazon account, because that helps. That really helps. All right, we have a few comments. Natasha is saying karma is intriguing. Absolutely, it is very intriguing and such a wide subject, right? There is no end to understanding it. No end to it.
Priya had a question, I believe.
Priya
Monica.
says, yeah. She says you have already answered it. You have already
Okay.
answered it.
Okay.
All right. So karma, yes. Deepa is saying, Rajni, Deepa, thank you so much for coming today. Wonderful tips, Karan. And thank you so much, everybody. Looking forward to reading. Natasha is saying, looking forward to reading. It is okay. Karma is as limitless as our soul. Absolutely. Priya is saying, wishing you all the best, Karan. Thank you
Thank you,
so
Priya.
much, everybody, for coming to this session and engaging with us. Thank you, Karan. Thank you so much. It has been super amazing talking to you. And I hope to connect with you again sometime.
It was lovely talking to you too, Monica. I didn't realize it's been already 45 minutes that we've been speaking. So thank you so much for all the warmth and all the support you've extended. It means a lot. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend. Bye bye.
Thank you for joining, guys. Thank you. Bye bye.